Ex sexually assaults my daughter, finds out the hard way she has been taught to take care of herself. So this is my second story. Little background: I'm a Iraqi war vet, and I believe in teaching the women and girls in my life to defend themselves with impunity. So at the very young age of 4 I have been teaching my child to defend herself. Story time. I'm at work one day and I get this call from my daughter's school. I go outside to answer the phone and the convo goes like this. Cast. Me. Terminator P. Principal. P. Hello Terminator, I need you to come pick up baby Terminator me. Can I ask what this is about? P. Yes, your child has been in a fight and needs to leave the school premise me. What do you mean she's been in a fight? What happened? I mean she won't just pick a fight P. Well, from what we can tell, Ek was running up behind her and grabbing her butt. She apparently warned him to stop, and when he won't, knocked him out cold me. So I'm confused, what is happening to the boy then? P. Well, your daughter seems to be the aggressor and we need her to leave, and she is gonna be suspended now. My child at the time lived with my ex-wife, and I had heard from THRX that my kid was having an issue with this boy for a while now, and I knew my daughter had gone through many times telling on him to no resolve. I also knew that he had been told many times by teachers to stop and hadn't. Me. Wait, so nothing is gonna happen to the boy who has been sexually assaulting my daughter for X amount of time? P. Well, Mr. Terminator, she did strike him once and knocked him out. She needs to learn violence is not the answer. She needed to bring it up to the attention of a teacher. Me. Okay, so what I'm hearing is your school is saying it's okay to sexually assault a girl and that the girl in question needs to just be a victim of assault over and over again or be punished. Is that about the gist of it? Now I hear silence as the principal mulls over what I have just said. I can tell they are trying to justify this weak tea bullshit. I compose myself. Me. So here's what's gonna happen next. You can either punish both or punish none of them. Because I promise you the last thing you want is me in my dresses and TV reporters showing up and blasting your whole school over this. Now I can understand that her punching this brat is unacceptable. But what I will not take, and neither will she, is him not being punished as well. Do I make myself clear? P. Silence. Me. Also, why are you calling me and not her mother? P. Well, Mr. Terminator, she told us to call you. Me. You listen to me and listen good. I swear to you and God I will not put up with this. I mean the beating with you, her teacher, and this boy's family. If I can't make it, my ex-wife will. If this isn't resolved to my liking, I will bring a holy hell upon this whole stick house you've built. Do you understand me? P. Yes sir. Me. Good. Call my ex, let her know the time and date. We will coordinate from there. I hang up and call my ex. She agrees with me and I go back to work. About a work week later there is a meeting, but unfortunately I have work and my ex has to go in for me. From what I'm told, this boy's family tries to play it off as boys will be boys and tries to get my daughter expelled. There are times when I remember why I married my ex, and this is one of them. She proceeds to tell them that the last thing any of them want is me to get more involved than I already have, and that if I have to I will bring it all burning down. Every brick. Outcome was both were suspended for 4 days and the boy moved to a different class. And I never got a call like that again. Moral of the story: my kid's a badass and got a cake for sticking up for herself, and a lot of love on both ends of me and my ex. Edit. Sorry for not being clear. She was 7.5 at the time of the incident. Edit 2. For those who don't believe me, that's fine. I have nothing to prove or answer for on Reddit of all places. Believe me or not. Call me names or don't. I didn't write this for upvotes, gold, or silver. I wanted to brag about my kid doing what I thought was the right thing. Good on you both. I hate the boys will be boys phrase being used to justify terrible things. That's something you say when your son comes in covered in mud holding a jar of worms. That's not something you say when he's been copping a feel on an unwilling girl. Edit. Some of the comments have me concerned people missed the word not. So I fixed that to make it more apparent. Once more for the people in the back. This phrase should not be used to justify sexual assault. Here's a heaping pile of consequences for what your son did. Bois will be boys. Your son just murdered hundreds of people. Bois we lines be Bois said it. Wow, this is my most liked thing on Reddit. Haha, the mud and the worms brings up a perfect image of me age 6. Girls will be girls. At a wedding a few years ago my 8-year-old cousin was collecting slugs on one of the outdoor tables. Some random family friend / auntie figure said she shouldn't because girls aren't supposed to touch dirty things. Guess who went home with a bag full of slugs? Here in Australia a young kid touched a slug then licked their hands. The kid died. Are your slugs not poisonous? Edit. Stop replying to tell me he ate the slug on a dare. That's a different case. That is awesome. Your daughter is a badass for knocking that brat out. Good for her for defending herself. I was so proud of her. And with one punch too. Does she do 100 press-ups, 100 sit-ups, 100 squats, and run 10 kilometers every single day though? Not that I know of lol. But she just started track. Yay for your daughter. That little Eb deserved to get knocked out. Maybe now he'll think twice before sexually assaulting anyone ever again. That principal needs a right kick in the ass. We don't condone violence. So what the fuck? You condone sexual assault. Where the hell you going with this? He needs a kick in the pants for suspending the girl for defending herself. Imo. If this was an ongoing issue at that school, then she never should have even gotten to the point where she needed to physically defend herself against someone touching her against her wishes. The school failed to protect her. So she took matters into her own hands and did their job for them. Honestly love how, even though you guys divorced for whatever reason you guys rained hell upon this school together for your daughter getting assaulted. Props to you bro. Hey, we figure we may not like each other all the time, but doesn't me, we don't care and can be there for the other. Of course. I don't have divorced parents so I'd regret what it's like, but I'm happy that there's no grudges or hard feelings between some parents. That's dumb that the school only wanted to suspend the girl for defending herself and not the boy for sexual assault. As someone who's gone K-12 in public schools, disclaimer, I'm in no way defending them. Just attempting to find the logic path the girl committed actual violence. Edit. Their definition of actual violence is pretty narrow. If there's physical injury, bloodshed, or punches thrown, it's violence. Otherwise, it's not, and therefore, via school policy, requires discipline, especially in the schools I went to with zero tolerance bullshit. She'd be given a hearty boot out the door without a second thought. The boy, on the other hand, according to school, might have sexually assaulted her. Or it might have been an accident. Or maybe he didn't know any better. There's too many unknowns to discipline him. Where the Self-Defense Act was in no way, shape, or form accidental. Plus, account for what I've named the rule of second action. Only the second action gets noticed. You get hit. You get caught hitting back. Your friend yells. You get shushed for asking him to commit. And according to most public schools, violence is met with violence. Non-violence is met with non-violence. Never the twain shall mix. So in their eyes, girl commits a violent act, but with no record of another violent act. She had to be the aggressor, because nobody punches someone, unless they were punched first. Right? Again, not defending. Just think I can explain how they arrived at that conclusion. Despite being incorrect on every level. You might have missed this part. I had heard from THRX that my kid was having an issue with this boy for a while now, and I knew my daughter had gone through many times telling on him to no resolve. I also knew that he had been told many times by teachers to stop and hadn't. I'd agree, except in this case the boy had engaged in this behavior repeatedly, had been repeatedly caught doing it by teachers, and yet had no consequences for the behavior that resulted in him changing it. There may have been other factors the dad wasn't aware of, like a relationship between the boy's family and school administration, that tilted them in the boy's favor. So let me get this straight. Girl student is sexually assaulted by boy student on numerous occasions and is told to stop by girl student and girl student's parent report the sexual assaults to teachers and school. School does nothing to stop the sexual assaults. Girl student continues being sexually assaulted and is forced to resort to physical confrontation. To stop it, girl student gets in trouble for defending herself. Boy student isn't punished for sexually assaulting girl student. Honestly, I just brought the reporters to the school and made a huge media deal out of it. The parents solved the issue of one student being sexually assaulted, but that doesn't mean the school will step in the next time it happens to another student. But get the media involved and some public outrage, and I guarantee you the school will think twice before turning a blind eye to it again. My dad runs a martial arts school and has confronted many a principal. We had a similar case a few years back. One of our students, male, was getting felt up by a dude at school and, after following the steps of the verbal combative program, dish the kid a hard slap to the face. A similar thing happened with the school trying to suspend him and let the other kid off scot-free. He was also a military brat, so his dad showed up in his dressage and dished out a drill sergeant response. Reports afterward told me that my dad had asked the principal, "Can I rub your tummy?" which elicited the expected response of hands going up to prevent such an action. Utter hypocrisy. I always told my daughter, don't start it, and I will always back you up. If you start it, then either take the punishment or I will be more upset. Had something similar happen when I taught first grade. Girl was crying and boy was yelling at her with blood coming out of his nose. Pulled both aside and asked what happened. Girl and two other kids said the boy reached down her pants and she said no and he wouldn't stop, so she elbowed him. My co-teacher wanted to ignore it. I called CPS instead and the parents. Why the fuck would you ignore that? Especially since why would the little boy think putting his hand down her pants was okay? That could actually be a sign that he himself is being sexually abused by someone. If kids at that young of an age is showing inappropriate sexual behavior of that nature, it's definitely a sign that something isn't right in their home life. How old is your child in this story? The story makes very different sense depending on whether we are talking about 6-year-old, 10 years old, 15 years old kids. Also knocked him out cold? Really? I'm from the front page. Are these stories supposed to be true? I'm from the front page. Are these stories supposed to be true? I had an especially hard time believing that the dad is only 4 years old, so at the very young age of 4 I have been teaching my child to defend herself. Normally I'd be inclined to call bullshit on the big badass speeches we see on this sub. But growing up with a military dad, I know you guys don't fuck around. I certainly know that my dad would raise 50 kinds of hell if a school had the balls to try to punish one of us kids for defending ourselves. I grew up in a military family, so hearing the way they talked and presented themselves is a norm for me too.